recording now.
Alrighty. Wow, that was such an old man sound. I think you did that one on purpose.
Well, I was coming into action. I was getting into the flow.
It's so funny how you just start doing that.
Everybody
You as
does.
people, that's what I mean. Like,
People in
we
general,
just
all
start
people
doing
do.
it. I do it. Oh my god! But I will say my back actually has been really tight
Well,
and
one
does
day
hurt.
you
And
just-
when I do bend over and then get back up, it kind of hurts.
when you're a younger person, you always
Yeah.
think it's so funny. Like, why does Grampy make that fucking
Yeah,
sound? You
yeah.
know? And then one day you just stand up and you go,
Yeah, and then your niece goes, "Why does Uncle Matt make that
I know.
sound?"
Why do you make all those
Wait
funny
till you're my
sounds?
age, little girl.
You know?
Good old 33.
I've been talking about how fucking old I am since I was 28. I feel like.
Well, once you made it past the 27 Club.
Right, of course. Which
And
I
you were
definitely-
like, okay, so
now
I guess I'm
going-
not going to be a rock star.
I know. I'll never do anything, make anything of myself. Well, and people don't know the 27 Club. A lot of famous people, musicians specifically, have died at the age 27, including Kurt Cobain and Jim Morrison and Amy Winehouse and Janis Joplin. Yeah, the list goes on and on and on.
Jimi Hendrix?
Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so many people have died at the age of 27 specifically. And I was convinced because I was on tour that I was either going to burn out
Yeah.
or be nothing.
Yeah.
And it was very funny because I met you at 28.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
The universe was like, hold out, buddy. She's coming.
I had a reason to keep on going.
We went to that bar in Curacao that was bar 27.
Very, very
Just
cool.
thinking, when we first arrived that maybe it was the address or
Mhm.
something, and then we walked in and we realized, oh no, it's an
It was
homage
all-
to the 27 Club. But the coolest thing was they had maybe like three little TVs kind of up in the corners, only playing old rock shows,
Mhm.
not just of these 27 Club members,
It was all rock
but just
themed.
all right. Yeah, it was a cool bar.
Well, and
then the Hells Angels showed up.
well, before you even say the Hells Angels,
Oh.
Curacao is originally a Dutch Antilles.
It is a Dutch
Until
Antilles.
still.
Yeah,
For some reason, I thought that it had its own independence now or something. But
it's the Dutch Antilles.
Antilles,
That's the name
the
of
area,
the
yeah. But it
islands,
used
yeah.
to be. Anyway, the Dutch still have a very strong relationship there.
Yes.
What I'm trying to say is that the bar
Oh yeah.
27 was owned by the drummer
Of
of
Golden Earring.
which is a Dutch
Dutch
band.
band.
Yes,
Totally.
And so
Totally.
they-
Radar Love.
Radar Love.
Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone, yes. I was
Hell
like,
yeah.
you got to remember the other one because we covered it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, some bangs.
2 songs. Couldn't tell you any other Golden Earring songs.
No, it's probably all in Dutch. I don't know.
Might all be in Dutch, yeah. Curaçao's a wonderful place.
Curaçao's beautiful.
It was so cool. So Curaçao, it's, part of the ABCs, the Dutch Antilles. The ABCs being Aruba, Bonaire, and Curaçao.
Yep.
And I remember we went twice, and one of the years we went to some bar, and there were a lot of Dutch kids will take like a gap year and work in Curaçao. So a bunch of, late teens, early 20-year-olds at a bar. And of course, it's European, so you can drink at 18. But they were playing like a beer pong of sorts.
But like their version.
But their version.
They're having a tournament.
They're having a big tournament, and they were singing like Dutch drinking songs.
They were. Yeah.
We tried so hard to learn them. I
Yeah.
bet we could look it up and
Yeah.
figure it out. But it was so fun. I mean, it was a
course.
very like slush your beer and
That's like that's considered a shanty.
That's kind of a shanty. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so. Would you consider like an Irish drinking song a
Like
shanty?
I guess so.
I feel like a shanty's a little more.
Some listener, let us know.
Well, I feel like a shanty's a little more
Like a sea shanty.
like
yeah.
drunken sailor, but I guess drunken
sailor.
land
kinda
person is basically the exact.
similar vibe.
So if you're singing a drunken
I guess it's a jig.
ditty, it's kind of a jig. It's kind of a I don't know, but
It's a,
we'll
drink,
look
it's a
up
drinking song.
as a drinking song. But
You were gonna say the Hells Angels were there,
yes, the Hells Angels showed
so
up.
we went to Bar 27.
Yep.
And we had already been there a few times,
hmm
and we're like, you know what? This would be a fun spot to go kick it. Like we were in the little town for a minute. We're
It
like,
was like we were gonna start out our night there.
let's go over to Bar 27, and unexpectedly, the vibe was. I mean, it was still a rock and roll vibe, but all of a sudden, it's just leather vests,
Oh yeah.
packed.
It was like they were having a convention.
It was an international.
It was an international one. Yeah. I remember
so
I saw
Hells Angels from all around the world.
All around the world. But I remember specifically seeing the Myrtle Beach Hells Angels.
Yeah, that's funny.
And those motherfuckers.
Were they in flip flops?
Practically, yeah.
They like you were like, you don't look tough, bro.
You don't look tough at all. I remember like talking to some of them, and they were
beat
just
each other up and piss on each other.
Yeah, I think maybe this was the international meetup for like the retirees or something.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. It was so funny though, but yeah,
because
I remember we walked like we pulled up exactly. But I remember we rolled up and obviously motorcycles are everywhere, leather jackets are everywhere, but like happy-go-lucky vibe. And then someone turned around and it was the Hells motherfucking Angels, and I was like,
so when I mentioned that,
I feel weird about
they specifically have. We were talking to somebody. They have a ton of motorcycles for rent on the island because they do that. So I think they go there
just
regularly.
The Hells Angels? Do you think Hells Angels have like?
I don't know if like
priority over the island or.
Probably, I don't know. Like so, but there is something where.
What are some of the other motorcycle gangs?
The Jokers. You have the Outlaws here, the big ones.
Are they still called a gang? Is it kind of like
it's
you can't?
Club.
Is it kind of? You're a
club.
Okay,
you're
I was thinking because you don't say tattoo gun, you say tattoo machine.
Oh my God, of course, yeah.
So probably
you're not
motorcycle
a gang.
club.
Yeah, you're a motorcycle club.
Wow, Elizabeth.
And then the 1%ers. So like, that means like those are the real felons. The 1%ers. So certain clubs are allowed to be called 1%ers.
And you have to be a felon to.
Yeah, you gotta be like a murderer. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you denote that you're a 1%er? Like, what will you see?
They'll have a little patch.
They will have a patch. Just a little.
And that means like, oh.
Does it literally say 1
news.
and the percentage sign? Are you sure?
Yes. I'm gonna get killed now.
Ah!
Bad news.
Bad news. Yeah.
I'm getting over
You had a motorcycle for a while. It was really
briefly.
fun.
I had it for a couple of years. It was really fun.
Yeah.
I almost died one time. We almost
died.
Only one time.
When? I don't remember
We were taking the baked goods to the shop.
Oh, fuck. Yes. This is why I don't drive down Summit ever.
Cars just were pulling out in front of us like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And my little bike was loud. Like it
it was one of those things where it started out very cute.
It was.
It was like a Saturday morning.
We were like, let's go get.
It was sunny. It was beautiful. And we were like, let's go get some baked goods.
For the tat shop.
For the tattoo shop.
This would be fun.
And they were in a cute pink box. And it was up north of town, but through campus.
Right.
And,
it was gonna be a fun
I was like, I've made it. I'm on the back of my babe's motorcycle. I've got pastries in my hand. I'm cute. I'm looking good. I had a helmet on.
Of course. Always wear helmets.
Yeah. And oh my God, cars were just playing out left and right. Like you were swerving. I was instead of just nicely holding my pastries, I was like gripping onto you and the pastries, and it was awful.
Made it.
We made it. I think there were 4 instances though on that
I feel
drive
like now in
so hard.
now in retrospect, I feel like it was like a game day, so there were a lot of people like downtown or in.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
People were down on campus who don't come down on campus.
Yeah.
So no one.
And there's a lot of blind spots. Anytime you have street parking on both sides of the street, it's a one-way street, but you have street parking on both sides. It's really hard to see if there's any oncoming traffic. So people kind of inch out. I mean, you should inch out.
Right.
These people were kind of lurching out. Yeah. It was kind of a mess, but I had forgotten about that.
I enjoyed having the bike. One day I would like to again, mainly for country driving. I don't like.
No, city highway.
City's terrible. That's what when people are like vrooming their fucking engines. We live downtown, in the middle of downtown. Then since COVID, there's been these like motorcycle groups that are purposefully like, dirt bikes, four-wheelers.
Doing it for the gram.
Trying to be on Instagram, only for social media, but just being obnoxious. But I'm like, you can't actually ride because it's a stoplight every 5 feet.
All you're doing is burning out your tires.
But also, it's like, your bike gets so hot. And it's like, not fun.
It becomes a disposable bike at that point. Yeah. I do just hate the phrase, it's not if you lay it down, it's when.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that just
and so many,
me.
Obviously, it's funny because I have this broad array of clientele, but still tons of people who ride motorcycles.
Yeah.
Even though, like, what's always funny is you can be a doctor and you start getting a bunch of tattoos and you buy a motorcycle at the same time. I don't know why it happens.
Yeah.
But it does. But a lot of people get hurt on these memorial rides. They call them poker runs.
Right.
But so, you're doing a run for a buddy who got killed in a motorcycle crash.
Yeah.
And when there's 50 motorcycles pulling out of
At
a Texas
least.
Roadhouse
Yeah,
or whatever.
right.
Fucking
A Quaker steak and lube.
yeah, somebody fucking gets in a wreck and gets
Yeah.
hurt, and I feel like these poker runs are more dangerous.
Than just riding around by
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
But I always
Yeah.
loved the just like big open country roads, not highways, just like sort of a weaving, like a slow weave.
Yeah, you
back
gotta
and
watch out
forth.
for intersections though. People don't see you coming.
I don't know. It was like meditative, and there's a lot of space and the wind, and you feel like there's something about that. We're going to lose this in the near term because of automation.
Yeah.
But like when you're driving a motorcycle, especially an old one that still you have to
Yeah.
shift gears. New ones, they're just automatic.
Are they really?
Oh yeah. But
Really?
all this and the electric ones
Oh
that are
my
becoming
God.
more and more popular, they're just
So you really can't hear
they
it.
don't have gears. But
Wow.
so like, but when you're like you got shift gears,
Yeah.
it feels mechanical. You know, you're squeezing.
Absolutely.
You're squeezing with one hand and you're lifting with a foot.
I'm a chapter and a half or 2 chapters in
Zen.
Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance, and already you can totally understand the parallels that he's going to be talking about between just life and what you have to do to get through life and what it takes to ride and maintain and understand a motorcycle, which can translate to anything.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, being one with the car. I remember I unfortunately never learned to drive stick. I really wanted to. I mean, I'm sure if I wanted to more, I would have. My dad had a truck that was stick. He doesn't have it anymore. But I remember my mom, both my parents obviously drove stick their entire lives until recently. But my mom always saying, like, it just feels like you're actually driving the car rather than being a passenger in the car, rather than sort of facilitating the drive. Like, you are one with the car. And I just always thought that was really cool and a cool way to look at it, and then never did it.
We still can.
I know that I still can, but it's getting harder and harder.
Right.
Who's going to teach me? You don't know how to do it. I mean,
I do.
not well enough to teach me, I
I
feel
do.
like.
I could do it.
Okay, prove it.
All right, I will.
Well, we got to find a car.
We gotta find a car. The next car I'll buy would be a manual.
Okay, I'm down.
Harder to steal.
Harder to steal, harder to hack, harder to get fucked up, harder to just easier to maintain. Truly, it's
More
mechanical rather than computerable. So that would be fun. That'd be cool. I bet it's cheaper. I remember when
It's always cheaper to buy a manual now.
Very much so. And I remember when we were renting the car in
I want a little truck.
England. We got to get a 4-wheel drive
I would.
car. Okay. But renting a car in England, it was significantly cheaper to rent a manual.
That would have melted my brain.
That wouldn't have been good. Oh my gosh. I mean,
It was already enough driving.
you're already
the
on
side.
the wrong side of both car and road.
It was fun.
And now your left hand has to be doing, yeah.
It was very fun to drive in England.
Well, because for the most part, it felt just like driving.
It
Your
did-
brain adjusts so quickly.
It does. It was fine driving. It's just that what was different were the towns,
Mhm.
just sort of the makeups of
Yeah.
the town. Like small town America, we drive through it all the time, and you can be anywhere in America, and you hit a little like downtown area.
You know what you're getting into.
The main street of every small town in America, it's always the same, and it's super quaint. And there's a
Yeah.
couple like cute shops, and there's some old brick buildings, and there's a little town hall and a church, and you're like, this is fucking cute. And you get used to how that appears.
Yeah.
England, they didn't look like that. We went through
No,
a ton of
of
small
course
towns,
not.
and all the town like it weaves, it like zigzags and does these crazy weaves through a town center.
Yeah.
And it feels very, very different. And that's where you get confused. You're like, can I even be on this road?
Yeah.
Is this even a road right now? And
Truly.
it would feel like you're not.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're back on a country. You're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, how did I even do that?
You kind of feel like you like shot through a little vortex for a minute,
sure.
and it like bumped you around, and now you're back on the road. Here
Yeah.
you go. Watch out for the 1,000-year-old stone wall on your left. Like,
Yes.
But yeah, it's interesting, and I would love to get a British person's take on small town America.
Yeah.
How weird does it feel, or does it feel because they're so grid oriented in
We're
America?
such a grid, so big.
We're such a grid. Everything's a little more spread out. Is it visually and understandably more pleasing or more, I don't know, just easier to navigate because of the way it's laid out versus their little towns that they're used to. They're used to, oh yeah, you just kind of like whip around that corner, you just whip my gate, and you go through this little alley, but it's actually a road, but watch out because she's probably folding her laundry in the middle of it, and then you're back on the road.
Yeah.
Which is what it feels like.
That's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would love to, somebody who has spent their entire life over there, who has traveled the country, experienced all the little towns. What's it like?
I'm so glad you're back.
I'm back. I'm back.
Since our last pod, you have traveled to South Carolina.
Yeah. And I will say, it's cold here. It was cold there. Wet cold?
Worse.
I think so. I really do. I mean, I think the highest it maybe got was like 45 while I was there. So we had some like chilly nights and, but just that wet cold. It like seeps into you. Like it really gets to your bones. I feel like a dry cold, it hurts your face, it hurts your thigh, like it's very surface level. And of course, to be out in either for an extended period of time is not fun at all. But I could not get warm down there at all. Now, what does Prince Philip say? There's no bad weather, only improper clothing.
Yeah.
I didn't have my big winter jacket, but I had some nice, heavy enough jackets and sweaters and things. And every single time I would go out, I'd be like, God, this is just really uncomfortable. But otherwise, I had a great trip.
Yeah.
But no, it made the shock of coming home and it being 12 degrees today not too terrible.
Are you excited to be a new auntie?
I am. A biological aunt.
Yeah, because right now it's just my brother has 2 kids.
Yeah.
But this is the first on the rest.
I think he's going to look just like me.
I think he's going to be Clancy as
I
fuck.
think he's going to be his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Rasmussen genes are strong.
They are.
Those damn Clancy genes. My God.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm excited to meet him.
Yeah.
No, so
you
you
gonna
left.
shake his hand when you first meet him?
I will, sir. I love to talk to kids just straight as adults.
Yeah, and they say you should.
Yeah, I think that's like a healthier thing to do. I also don't know how to talk to children, so I'm always just like.
I'm getting a lot of practice with the barn animals.
That makes sense.
There's a lot of, I wouldn't call it baby talk because I fucking hate that term so much. But there's a lot of like, it's kind of almost like, it's almost like a whimper. It's kind of like, oh, you're just the cutest.
Yeah.
Richie's sports bra came.
Yeah, I saw a picture. He looks great. Posted in the pod.
Well, the funniest thing is it came in this little tiny
It was so
bag.
tiny. I was like, there's no way that's...
It looked like a Polly Pocket
little pocket.
Because
the package arrived while you were gone, and I was like...
What the fuck is that?
Well, I knew what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, okay.
And I was like, how is this going to fit on this fucking horse?
How's this going to fit on a horse? I mean, it looked like a small human purse.
And Richie's like, he's like a normal size horse. He's like a fucking horse. Yeah.
It was so cute, though, because I got it out, and I was showing Lucy and Courtney. I was like, oh, my God, look at this little purse. And he was just, like, pining for it. He was, like, sticking his teeth out, like, trying to get it. I was like, it's your bra and your little purse, buddy. I kept the bag. I was like, it's a really good, like, sort of emergency kit bag. Yeah. Just, like, put a few things.
You could put a bunch of your knives in there. I
could put all my knives in it. It could be my knife bag.
Yeah.
I have, like, 5 knives currently.
Oh, yeah.
I got so nervous when I was going through TSA that I had accidentally just put one of my knives in my backpack because they're kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
They're.
I don't even know where they're all.
They're
at
in my trunk. They're in my nightstand. They're just kind of all over the place. And I was like, oh fuck! Like it was going through the X-ray machine, and I was just like, did I like think to put one in my bag? No, thankfully.
Well, first off, all of the knives are like $5 knives. So.
Oh yeah, if they had thrown it out,
they would have just been like, "What's this?" And you're just like.
Like, I got a bunch of knives for Christmas.
You can just be like, you can throw it away, and they'll be like, that's fine. They're like...
No, you're not going to be fined or jailed.
Yeah, it's not nefarious enough.
No,
and if you're like, I totally forgot, they'd be like, yeah, it happens all the time, bro.
Yeah, the shit that people forgot
well, it's also
in
like,
their bag.
It's like, oh, you're from Ohio.
Yeah.
Of course you got a knife or whatever, It would be a regular thing. But, so you left last Wednesday. We did a pod that morning. Or you left Thursday, but...
Something like that.
We did a pod Wednesday morning. I still had a voice.
Yeah.
But by Wednesday night,
oh my God,
where we had rehearsal. So we had one rehearsal for our show.
Yeah.
With everybody.
Yeah.
And I had no voice.
Correct.
At all.
That is what happened.
By the end of the day, it was completely gone.
Yeah.
And then you left, and I was like, oh, goodbye.
Yep.
See you later. And then I think
I was like, toodles, enjoy being sick.
Until last night / today, it was like touch and go.
Yeah. But are you feeling okay?
I feel much better. Still like baby congested. And I never like bodily felt that bad.
Yeah.
It was just pure congestion.
Yeah.
Phlegmy.
I'm glad you're better.
Although this morning went for a run. I was telling you this, but I could feel at the end of the run just like build up in my throat.
Okay.
Then I started hacking a little bit.
This is a story that needs to be told on the pod.
I think it does.
Okay.
And so like I'm at the gym, and as I'm leaving, like I'm waving to like people and saying bye, but I'm like coughing up phlegm, but trying to not make it
I'm
obvious.
picturing you like parading out of the club.
Well,
Goodbye, everybody. I've done my workout. I'm going to work now.
I'm an old man, so I like to
It's a thing. No,
you gotta
it's,
say
it's
hi.
true. The man is sitting at the chair with the paper and he's tipping his
And
hat.
you gotta say hi to
and,
people.
and the woman is sipping her coffee.
But then
and
I
it's
finally
very
get to
satanic.
the front doors, and I'm like, I got all this phlegm now
You're
in
like,
my mouth.
All right, everybody
I'm like, I
go.
can finally spit, get this out of my fucking gullet because
Yeah.
this is what's been made me feel like shit this morning.
Okay.
I'm ready. My mouth is full, and then a guy we know
Yeah.
comes up and tries to talk to me,
He's trying to say hello.
and he's trying to say
'cause
hello
he's an
to
old
me,
man too.
and my mouth is full of phlegm, and I'm just like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just fist bump him and like run away.
Yeah.
Like that definitely was an awkward encounter. So,
Yeah.
and then I was able to
Yeah.
get rid of
I'm glad.
the demons.
I'm glad you didn't demon all over him.
I know I
That
could have.
would've sucked.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to know
Get the
that you
evil out.
Got the evil out. That
Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
Exactly. So, and you sound and you look and you seem better. So
Thank you. Yeah.
that's
I just
good.
want everyone to know that I'm human.
Yeah, I do. Oh fuck. I think I was going to talk about robots again, but
Go on.
I don't remember now. That just reminded me, or maybe I was dreaming about robots or something. But yeah.
It was just Oh, go on.
No, maybe it was that I was listening to that podcast with the guy who was trying
Wants
to live forever. And not robotically, not like what we were talking about, where
so
you're
like
just replacing
supplements.
everything. It's focusing on your organs and
Wasn't he doing like blood transfusions or something?
yeah, he did some blood transfusions. I haven't finished the podcast, but more so, you're trying to figure out the chronological age of your organs and then focus what you're doing on each organ and how it's affecting your organs. I think he said his diaphragm's like he's 18, but like his left ear is as if he's like 64 because he shot a bunch of guns when he was younger and fucked up his ear.
Well, they're
For
trying.
some reason, I don't know what he's been doing to his diaphragm to make it 18, and then for just all of his different vital organs. How are you? What are you adjusting?
Okay.
He eats dinner at 11:30 a.m. So he eats between like 6:30 and 11:30 because it takes about 9 hours to fully digest your food. And I mean, it's all extreme. And he is guinea pigging himself
right.
to basically figure out some of the science for the rest of us.
I know what you're talking about. I feel like the thing is he's like in his 50s and supposedly his biological age is like 25 or something.
Yeah, something like
It's
that.
like a huge dynamic. They're trying to get, or maybe they already have. I feel like there's there's the DNA scientist. God, I can't remember his name, but where they're getting age. They're like, why is age classified the way it is? Why is it not classified like any other disease?
Oh, yeah.
Like instead of age being inevitable, or death, why is death not considered a disease?
Yeah.
So how do we recalibrate our thinking about it to be like age is something that we can actually like affect in a positive way?
Yeah, you're not just getting older to die.
Yeah. And I mean, our perceptions of time, we've talked about it a bunch, but it's like people are always like, it's not, age is just a number.
Yeah.
It's how you feel.
Right.
And people who take care of themselves, it's flexibility, mobility,
Yeah.
and then quality of life. And it's like, you can be 70 and still super active and look very healthy. Or you can be
not.
70 and be barely able to be in society at
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, what are those differences? What are those life choices? What does that look like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But is aging actually like a disorder that you could be?
I think that's what he's trying to figure
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
I think that's what he's trying to combat, basically.
And we know, scientists predict that somebody alive right now is going to live to at least 150. And I know we talked about that before, but it's like,
What's your quality of life?
what is it at 150? But still, I think lifespans are getting so long.
Yeah, they are. Which is why you basically have to have multiple careers And I mean, this idea of,
Most people that you will prepare yourself to have at least 3,
yeah,
like full ass.
is that what they're saying now? 3? Okay, wow.
It was 2, but it's like, how long's a career? 20 years?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're going to do 20 years in a field,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're like, okay, that was a good run. Well, now I'm 40.
Mm-hmm.
Do another 20. Now I'm like, well, I'm 60.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably enough time for a third act.
Right.
You know?
Right. But then once again, if you're physically and mentally capable, what's stopping you from a 4th
Right.
or
right.
a 5th, depending on, you know, what your longevity is.
And most people now don't do, you know, it used to be always like, you know, Grampy fucking did 45 years
Right.
or
Nobody
whatever.
does that anymore.
Nobody does that at all.
What company even lasts that long anymore to work
Most
for?
people, it's funny, a lot of clients, people I know, it's like they get into a field, I don't know, the majority of people are not staying for long wherever they're at.
Which is that just what's the cause of that? Are we
What's
just,
funny, it's like so everyone's into startups,
yeah,
all these startup companies, and they're like, well, you're part of the territory. You know, you help the startup in one every 5 years, 5 years max,
Right.
and you pivot to the next one, you know, or whatever. And a lot of people I know, even when they're at the job and it's a job they like, they're
Yeah.
actively looking for another job.
Like that's weird. That makes me feel like you're just doing what everyone's saying you should do. You're not focusing
They talk
on
about headhunters,
right,
LinkedIn.
right.
It's a fascinating, but it's a world that's very foreign to us.
It's very foreign,
I
but
don't
it
know what that
does
feels
make
like
me
or looks
feel
like.
like you're not fully present in what
whatever
you're doing. Because if you're like, I love my job and everything's great, but it's probably about time to move on. It's like, is that just because you've hit this milestone of 5 years, or is it because you dread going into work and you're not enthused by what you're doing?
I think it's completely monetarily driven. That the whole thing is like, okay, this is what you're supposed to do, like you said. That's what you're supposed to do. But it's like, okay, well, I've been here for X amount of time. Now that I have this experience, these XP points,
right.
now I can forward that, and I can now get a higher paying position at a company doing the
Yeah.
exact same thing.
Yeah.
But because I've been here, you know, you just go to the
Yeah.
next thing. But so there's no loyalty,
Well, exactly.
you know.
And that
It feels weird.
Well, that just makes every workplace then
Transactional. It's only transactional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you actually build anything? I guess it's all just transaction based
Transaction.
building.
Yeah.
But just I don't know. It just seems.
But it's also like, once again, you and I just don't do that at all. It's like so.
I guess I would have to have a conversation with somebody who's in a world like that to
I
get
have not
their
had a
perspective on it.
job.
Oh my god! If I had to do a job interview.
I have not had a job. The last job, and maybe the art store, I guess. You know, but I got that when I was 19.
Like working for somebody.
Now I'm almost 40.
Yeah. Working for the bakery, I did have to interview for that.
I do a lot of gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a traditional, like, going through the interview process, being onboarded,
Yeah.
being...
I mean, all the time. I mean, I got jobs. You know,
Yeah.
it's like paint this or make this graphic.
Yeah.
But it's all me. It's
Right.
my product and my work.
Well, you're a contractor at that point. You're
Yeah.
still basically selling yourself, and you are the
I've not
product.
had hours.
Yeah.
I have to be here at this time.
Right.
Or, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I've had a little bit of that, but it's... I don't know. Some days I want it.
Structure is good.
Some days I'm like, I just want a 9 to 5 where someone tells me what to do. I report, I do my job, I go home, I turn it off, I focus on something else. And other days I wake up and I'm like, absolutely not. That would kill me. But, I mean, and I understand why a lot of people do it. There's so much security in it.
Well, yeah.
And
What do you want? You know,
That's what you want, yeah.
What are you seeking in life?
And for a lot of people, the security is the freedom.
Oh my God, yeah.
And for other people, the freedom is the lack of security or just the freedom to the freedom.
Yeah. There's a lot of days where it's like, I know it would be easier,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
A lot easier.
a lot easier. But also then, like, we wouldn't be able to do a bunch of cool shit.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
Actually, I was talking with my client today. Her mom has had some health problems
Yeah.
and in and out of the hospital, and, you know, she has had her own health problems, but really just talking about like work and things. But what I was talking to her about, I was like, Liz and I have this luxury that because of the way our life is structured, if something happened to our family or someone needed us,
We can go.
we can go at any time.
Yeah.
There's no kids, no pets,
Right.
but also we own our businesses
Right.
and make our own hours.
Right.
So it's like absolute freedom.
Yeah.
And we're not going to lose our job.
Right. But
There's no income.
there's no income. Exactly.
We're not doing it.
Yeah.
But the big thing is like if we need to, and because like, we've spent years cultivating my clients.
Right.
So it's like I can message my clients and we've created a thing where I'm so in demand.
Right.
That,
yeah.
But at least
not even to get into the nitty gritty.
But at least on
business,
that sector,
but,
it's like the big thing is like we can peace out anytime.
Right.
And everybody
and that's great.
It won't even affect our business.
And now on the opposite side of things, somebody who has a salaried 9 to 5, yes, it's harder for them to request the time off or be able to even get off. But when given that time off, you're still getting paid.
Yeah.
It's 50-50.
But a bunch of people,
it really is.
I hear people all the time who are like, well, I have to use the PTO or I lose it.
Right. Well, and that's just the strange structure of
and people are waiting for their
corporate
bonuses.
America.
Yeah. It's so dynamically different that it's like foreign to me.
I can tell.
I really don't understand it. Yeah.
I'm like, I think I get it a little bit more than you do.
I think so.
Yeah, but that's okay. What's nice is there are opportunities for all sorts of different people. That's fucking America.
Well, it's America. It's also just life. That there's like infinite ways to live life.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Oh my God. It's crazy. Absolutely. I mean, every time I meet somebody, I always ask people what they do. I know a lot of people when you're introducing yourself, but it is truly one of the first things I say to a person is like, what do you do?
And I know this is actually a conversation I had recently too, is like, that's a thing that only Americans ask.
Really?
Because we associate your identity with your job.
Yeah.
And that's like a very American thing.
Yeah.
But I think that's awesome.
It is.
Because
it says a lot about you as a person. Even if you're like, I just do my job to get my paycheck, to do the thing that I love. Well, it's like, okay, but you still chose this specific job. What is that about you? Why did you choose that? What does that say about your personality, about your work ethic, about your whatever?
I think a lot of other places, they're more interested in their recreation time. And like if you go to France, that's specifically the French, like they're way more about like, well, I only work X amount and it's very little and mainly I'm focused on all this other shit.
Yeah.
And like you would never ask their job first because that's sort of irrelevant because that's not who they are.
Right.
But in America, your identity is really intertwined with your career.
It is.
But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
I don't think so either.
Like I cannot imagine. I feel like I'm more than a tattooer, and you're more than like owning a tattoo business. And, but it's like not having that as an aspect in our world.
Yeah,
would be weird or
I think it's still an interesting enough question to ask somebody.
Interesting jobs. I was talking to my mom this morning when she didn't know that her wrist was broken yet, but she fell and broke her wrist. So Mom, so sorry.
I know.
I can't wait to sign your cast.
Same.
She was like talking about my dad wants to do a little ice fishing.
Okay.
Again, he had so much fun doing it in Alaska last year.
Yeah.
They do it at Lake Erie.
Oh, nice.
And so she was like, maybe there's an opportunity for you and James
like
to go
right
with
now
them or something,
yeah.
like go up on a Sunday or something. And I was like, in my head, who around Cleveland decides to be like the guy who sets up the ice fishing? You probably have a charter boat during the summer.
Probably, yeah.
But your world is just like putting up little igloos on Lake Erie or whatever.
Similarly, I thought about this when I was flying to South Carolina. We had to de-ice.
Right.
And this guy, and he looked pretty young, but he's up on a cherry picker coming off of a little truck, and he is the de-icer.
Yeah.
And he has this giant hose, and he fucking turns it on and sprays the whole wing, and he sprays the tail and stuff. And I was like, you choose to be the de-icer. So you're only working in very cold temperatures.
Well, he
'cause you
probably
only
does other stuff.
I'm sure he does, but he's like, I want to be trained to be the de-icer.
It's probably fun.
It might be fun. It's always cold.
It's always cold, but you get to like shoot a big cannon at a plane.
You do. I got a video of it actually.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't
but
see that video. Posted
yeah,
with the,
it looked a little harder than just the fun shooting a cannon. I mean, he was wielding it well, but my first thought was like, who chooses to do
I can
that?
tell you that any man will always jump at the opportunity to shoot some shit.
Yeah.
Like you
And
want
I don't really know.
you want me to have a big hose?
It's a kind of foamy, liquidy thing. So, I would imagine, and you're getting sprayed. Of course, you're getting wet while you do it.
Yeah, and so it's probably some sort of like maybe a salt slurry mixture or something.
Yeah.
Something that's not water, like just water. It has to be able
Of
to.
course, yeah. But it's liquidy. I'm just saying, you're not staying dry the whole time you're doing it. I would imagine.
So
I
probably
don't know.
maybe you do a plane, then you go in and change. To
That'd be an
else,
interesting micro. Get him on there.
What is the actual plane? The people who just hold the
things?
the little sabers, but
Oh,
they're called marshals, right? Aren't they called air marshals?
they might. Well, no, an air marshal is who gets on,
On
the
the
plane and is like
But I'm pretty
basically
sure
an undercover. No, I don't think so.
they have a name that's similar to that.
We had
Look it
we
up.
had some
Someone
friends
listening.
growing up, and their mom did that,
Yeah,
and she was this like super hot blonde.
Yeah.
And we always joked to her like, Lisa probably distracted everybody with like,
Yeah.
and she had some big old titties,
yeah.
and we were like, she's out there just like moving the things.
Well, and
like,
pilots are sort of known for being a little like,
yeah.
a little sleazy and because you're a pilot.
I don't believe that at all. The pilots I know are the most like timid.
Well, in real life,
sweet.
in real,
That's
in
what
real
I'm saying.
Life, in real
Yeah,
life.
in real life, I'm
well,
like,
they're typically
actually
kind of nerdy.
not.
But
Like-
I mean, the classic pilot image, he's like hot with aviators.
Of course,
You're like, you're a fucking
Of
pilot,
course.
right?
And,
Like-
yeah.
We always had this conversation. I remember, I don't know if I've mentioned this on the pod before, but Mike, who owned the tattoo shop I used to work at, him and I would list like, what are the coolest jobs?
Oh yeah. We've
we-
talked about
We
this.
make a hierarchy of jobs, and pilot was
Way up there.
way up there.
When you say that I'm a pilot, people are like, oh, shit.
yeah,
okay.
because that's what like.
And that means you're a captain.
Oh yes, you have to be
Which is
called
really
a captain.
cool, too. Yeah.
Because it was always a thing. Like we know if we're at a bar and someone asks us what we do, the second you say, "I'm a tattoo artist,"
People start taking off their clothes.
well, they start taking off their clothes. But everybody's like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah.
You know, but say musician, it's
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, you're like I play guitar." Especially, well, and people are going to ask you as a woman. They're always like, "What do you play?" And you're like, "I play guitar." Everyone's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
"That's cool."
Yeah.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that one. All right.
Lead
all right.
vocals, lead guitar.
Yeah,
no big
whatever,
deal.
whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, but if you say pilot.
Like, ooh,
And
cool.
it's like it's rare what trumps that, astronaut, obviously. It's
Yeah.
like you're a pilot squared.
Right.
I think we talked about being in the rodeo. If you were like, I'm a bull rider.
Oh,
would be
shit,
like,
that's high up
fuck.
there. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to think of some other ones.
If you were
There
like
aren't
like one of those what's the fishing guys, the like Deadliest Catch.
Oh, like a
I'm
like
a longshore fisherman.
yeah.
Or I work on an oil rig. But that's like that's not even cool. That's not
sounds, like,
cool.
creepy.
It's not cool, but it's like
Yeah,
highly dangerous.
It's interesting. Yeah.
If
You're
you told
a dangerous soul.
if you told me I'm an archaeologist, I'd be like, that's pretty cool.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily consider you like cool.
Only if it's like dinosaurs or like mummies. If you were doing Egypt, if you were like, yeah, I work at King Tut's tomb or whatever. I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
bro. But pilot.
I had a
Pilot
teacher in high school, Mr. B, and his wife was an archaeologist. And he taught, I can't remember like what general science he taught, but he was also the astronomy professor.
Yeah.
Teacher. And that was like an elective class. And he specifically, like, I think he was on a path to getting his PhD in like astrophysics or something. And his wife at the same time was on a path to get her PhD in archaeology, whatever. And they pretty much had to choose
who was
going to do it, and he let her, which was so loving and kind, and so he became this amazing high school science teacher. But oh my god, we would ask him questions, especially in the astronomy class, because it's just interesting, and oh my god, he would start to answer, and then he would always just look up at the ceiling and like trail off. I mean, for minutes, just kind of trail off, just staring at the ceiling. Obviously, his brain was going so crazy. I remember a kid in my class, Zach, was like, "Mr. B, we've heard a lot about black holes. Tell me about white holes."
Yeah.
And Mr. B was just like, "Well," and you know that he was just like in another dimension.
Well, so where do I start?
Like, where do I start?
I'm talking to these children.
Yeah, I don't think he's like, "Zach, you should probably just look that up." But he was like gone
you
for
just
a
really
minute.
made me want to watch Interstellar.
I know. Yeah.
But I was going to say, who is really cool, and actually, Paul Sutter.
Yeah.
Like, as far as cool jobs, when I met Paul Sutter, I was like, oh.
We'll explain who he is.
Well, he's an astrophysicist.
Yes.
He's also a professor at Ohio State.
Yes.
But he is like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like, normally, people like that are bad communicators.
Exactly.
And it's actually really fun to see him now on, like,
History Channel and
shit.
stuff. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's based out of here. But, like, we did some work with him. I did some illustrations for him. But just, like, when he's like, yeah, I'm an astrophysicist, you're like, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, bro.
Especially because he can't communicate. You're like, oh, you've got it all.
Oh,
You've got a lot going on. Yeah. It's really interesting.
Really
yeah. Well, cool jobs out there.
If anybody knows any cool jobs, I love talking to the audience. Like, anybody fucking listens at all.
They do.
I think we have a comment that we haven't checked yet.
Oh, I'll go check it.
Yeah, go check it.
And it's Rob.
Rob, I'm drinking just vodka soda tonight. It's just Cheetos and soda, Rob.
Yeah. But so many jobs. So many jobs. Just back to that. I love asking people what they do. And actually, one of my favorite things is making people actually explain their jobs.
Yeah.
Because so many people are just like, oh, I'm in IT, or oh, I'm in sales. And I'm like,
yeah.
So what do you do?
What
the fuck do you do?
I just had a guy come in, and he was like, well, I work in commercial real estate tax advising.
Okay, so that almost explains itself.
Yeah. But I was like...
But what do you do?
I was like, what do you actually fucking do, man? And he was like, it's really more like being a financial advisor.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it's sort of like, how do you put money or use money?
Oh my god, you know what I can't stand?
Go on.
Consultants. I just think it's the most... No, I don't... It's
a generic term, but I think we're about to become consultants.
Well, that aside...
I know.
If you tell me you're a consultant, at least tell me what you're consulting on.
What
and
makes you an
explain it to me, because if you're so fucking good at it, then tell me about it.
What makes you a fucking expert?
Thank you. Do you have your consultant's license?
I'm gonna say the thing that like is the most offensive thing is like,
oh, okay,
those who cannot teach.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like those
who cannot teach gym.
Yeah. But I was gonna say those like consulting is like.
Right, so you couldn't do the thing. So
you're gonna fucking consult on it, and like, unless like,
oh god.
Now people go to seminars from like people.
Seminars, awful.
But of people who are successful, like
I know.
I'm a successful real estate mogul, or I'm a successful whatever.
And I'm done doing the bitch work of the job, basically.
Yeah, I have this huge portfolio of whatever it is. Now I'm gonna teach you how I did it, and that's like. Okay, maybe you do have some knowledge that I could gain or something, but I've met some consultants, and I'm like, what the fuck?
It doesn't even really bother me that that's what they're doing. It's when you just say to me, I'm a consultant.
It's like...
On fucking what? Tell me what? And tell me about it. Like, it's your whole job to talk about it and to teach people about it. At least tell me on what.
I know a bunch of lobbyists.
Oh my god!
But they tell me immediately.
They do. No, you're so right.
What they do,
who they work for, what they do,
what they're lobbying for,
and I'm like, I finally understand lobbying because I've talked to lobbyists and they just talk about what they do all the day.
They sort of are essentially consultants.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're advising politicians via whatever knowledge they have.
That's true.
I represent this brand or this company or this
Yeah.
or this cohort of people.
Absolutely.
Because of that, I have this knowledge, and now you're writing a bill on it, or I want to influence you.
Right.
So I'm consulting
Let me
you
get
on
it. Yeah.
how
Let's talk.
this thing works.
Let's figure this
A
out.
lot of the consultants I met, it's like going to a doctor who has terrible health.
Yes.
You know, so you go to a doctor, you show up, he's overweight, he's wheezing, he's coughing, his skin is poor, and he's telling you what you need to do with your health, and you're like, bruh, why would I take your fucking advice?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
clearly you're not healthy,
Right.
you know, and you immediately are turned off. A lot of consultants I met give me that
Give
energy.
that vibe.
Any consultants out there,
Just tell us what you do.
tell us what you do, and
Do it well.
change your mind, please.
Yeah. I'm here. I'm willing to change my mind. This
Yeah.
is where I stand currently.
We're gonna offend one of our 40 listeners.
Rob, I really hope you're not a consultant.
Rob, if you're a fucking consultant, I am so sorry. And if you are, you're welcome to come on the pod and walk us through it.
Yeah. Oh
All
my
right.
god.
That's probably a good place to wrap up. My throat's getting pretty tired.
Oh, my hatred of consultants. Okay,
I think
let's end it.
I think it's a fun place to end.
No. Love everybody. I actually really like and pretty much love most people that I
No,
know.
and what both of us talk about all the time, but our big concerns are how do we support people, how do we build people up, especially like close to us, and we like to work like inward out, so it's like family, friends, people who work with us, and like making them successful. And I'm a
Right.
huge believer that if you can make people around you successful, then you will be successful.
Yeah.
I'm like a rising tides raise all ships kind of guy.
Yeah. I completely agree.
So if there's consultants in our circle, I want to make them the best fucking consultants they can possibly be.
Love it.